Well, US President Donald Trump may keep a promise he made 5 years ago to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization. Taking to Truth Social, Trump described the group as a, quote, major terrorist organization, adding that anyone funding Antifa will be investigated at the highest legal standard. His plan, however, is unclear, with few details about how a designation would actually work. Unlike other groups, terror groups, Antifa does not have a leader or command structure. And within the US, Antifa enjoys First Amendment protection. Let's get more on all this. Kevin Liptak joins me now. So, Kevin, as we were just saying there, Antifa is kind of a loose term, isn't it, for a so-called group with no leader or structure. So just explain, from what you understand from the administration, who they are banning exactly.
Yeah, and it's not precisely clear. All we've really learned from the White House and the administration is what the president has put out on Truth Social. This is really more of a movement than a defined organization. And you're right that the president said he would do this back in 2020. One of the reasons we never really saw anything materialize out of that is, one, there is no mechanism legally in the United States to declare a domestic organization a terrorist group. You have the foreign terrorist organizations, but a similar one doesn't exist for domestic entities. And then there's a question of who would be wrapped up in this. You know, there's no defined leader of Antifa. There's no defined hierarchy or structure. I think this is probably best interpreted as the president really sort of laying the groundwork to start beginning to go after some of these left-wing organizations that he and his advisors have accused of fomenting violence in the wake of the Charlie Kirk assassination. You've heard them talk about doing this over the last week or so. In addition to this terrorist designation, they've talked about potentially bringing racketeering charges against some groups that fund some of this. They've talked about potentially stripping organizations of their nonprofit status. This has been sort of an effort that's been underway as the president has been in Britain over the last several days. Back here in Washington, there is now this hurried effort behind the scenes to try and put some of these moves in place, ready for the president to sign and enact as soon as he gets back.
Right, so we don't really yet know how exactly this will work, who they're going to go after, who he's going to target. Well, how is this being received?
Well, I think broadly what you hear from Democrats is that this could potentially be laying the groundwork to go after opponents of the president for opposing him. You know, you've heard potentially when it comes to these racketeering charges, the president mentioned George Soros. He was one of the biggest Democratic donors. He has an organization that funds democratic causes. I think when you talk to people who are opponents of the president, the real fear is that this amounts to a crackdown on opposition. And it's not just the terrorism allegations or the racketeering or the nonprofit status. You also have the president talking about FCC licenses and what's happening with Jimmy Kimmel. It all kind of adds up into this atmosphere of cracking down on the president's opponents, and I think it's being met, at least by the president's people opposite of the president, with a great deal of reservation and even fear.
Yeah, and it's a concern. And this is, by the way, is your own reporting. You're saying that Trump's suggesting he thinks networks' broadcast license could be revoked if they are overwhelmingly negative perspectives on this. It's all tied in, right, Kevin? Unfortunately, we're running out of time. My producer's going to tell me off, but it's online. Go and see it. Thank you very much indeed, Kevin. Appreciate it.